Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about the presidency of Thomas Jefferson. We are going to continue on with our section here about the early republic, and like I said, this video is going to focus on the presidency of Thomas Jefferson. A new direction for American government. In addition to capturing the presidency in 1800, the Democratic Republicans won control of Congress and most of the state governments. The Federalists would never reclaim national power. Besides taking government in a new direction, the Jefferson administration left a profound legacy with its acquisition of new territory. When the Democratic Republicans took power, they spoke of the election as a revolution. Jefferson insisted that the Revolution of 1800 was as real a revolution in the principles of our government as that of 1776 was in its form. In that view, those in the Jefferson administration set out to do things quite differently from their predecessors, who had copied the style of the British monarchy. So Thomas Jefferson promised to bring change and revision to the way that the country had been run so far. And a lot of people were very receptive to this. They thought that the previous administrations had been too close to the style of the British monarchy. Democratic Republican leader and author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, assumed the presidency in 1801 following one of the most bitter presidential campaigns in American history. Jefferson streamlines government. Jefferson encouraged Congress to abandon the Alien and Sedition Acts, as well as the hated taxes on stamps, land, and alcoholic spirits. Unlike Hamilton, Jefferson wanted to retire the national debt by paying it down. Despite reducing taxes, he cut the national debt from $80 million when he took office to $57 million in 1809. So he wanted to focus on working down the nation's debt. To do this, he made major cuts to the Army and Navy and streamlined the government's bureaucracy, or the departments and workers that make up the government. He also benefited when customs revenue from imports increased with a dramatic growth in foreign trade. In addition, the westward movement of American farming families, increased the sale of federal lands. These two revenues drove down the federal debt. So that is how Thomas Jefferson reduced the debt and was able to pay down the debt of the country. He makes cuts to the Army and Navy. He streamlines the bureaucracy, meaning the departments in the government that make the government work. And he sold land to farmers that wanted to move west. The Federalists believed that expensive displays taught the public to respect their leaders. Without that respect, they did not think that the government could survive. In contrast, the Democratic Republicans hated the Federalist displays of wealth as an aristocratic threat to the Republic. Although Jefferson was wealthy, refined, and educated, he recognized the popularity of a common style. He was a person that dressed very plainly. He did not, even though he was a wealthy person, he did not dress in the fineries that other wealthy people of the time did. And that was what made him more popular. He was more relatable to the common man. John Marshall shapes the Supreme Court. When Thomas Jefferson became president in 1801, John Marshall became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Although the two men were cousins, they were political enemies. Marshall was a Federalist, a last-minute appointee by the outgoing President John Adams. Marshall's appointment had a major impact on the Supreme Court and on its relationship with the rest of the federal government. Over 35 years, he participated in more than 1,000 court decisions, writing over half of them, more than any other Supreme Court justice in U.S. history. Also, in case you were wondering, yes, this is the person that John Marshall High School in Glendale is named after, and Marshall County. Marshall applied 4 of Hamilton's principles to interpret the Constitution. First, his Supreme Court claimed the power to review the acts of Congress and of the President to determine if they were constitutional. This power is known as judicial review. Second, he insisted that federal laws were superior to state laws. Third, like Hamilton, Marshall broadly interpreted the Constitution, to find implied powers for the national government. Fourth, he insisted upon the sanctity of contracts. This limited the power of state governments to interfere with business. So, John Marshall is very much a federalist. He believes in a strong federal government, and he believes that the federal laws are going to be superior to state laws. And this is a policy that we still adhere to today. Meeting rooms used by the U.S. Supreme Court during the early 1800s. So this room in this picture right here, this shows you what the rooms look like in the early 1800s that the Supreme Court met in. John Marshall sat in this room. In 1803, Marshall first asserted the power of judicial review in the case of Marbury v. Madison. In early 1801, outgoing President John Adams had appointed William Marbury, a Federalist, a justice for the District of Columbia. The incoming Secretary of State, James Madison, refused to deliver the official papers of appointment. When Marbury complained to the Supreme Court, Marshall ruled in favor of Madison by declaring unconstitutional part of the Judiciary Act of 1789. This ruling was a stroke of genius. Marshall gave the Democratic Republicans what they wanted by denying Marbury his appointment. But in doing so, Marshall claimed a sweeping power for the Supreme Court that the Democratic Republicans did not want that court to have. So this is the power of judicial review. It is the power of the Supreme Court to rule something unconstitutional. After all, the Constitution was silent on what institution should judge the constitutionality of congressional actions. In the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions of 1798, Jefferson and Madison had claimed that power for the state legislatures. Because of Marshall, today we accept that the Supreme Court will review the constitutionality of federal laws. Yes, this was something that was not explicitly stated in the Constitution. So, for the ability of the Supreme Court to rule an act of the legislature as unconstitutional, we owe that all the way back in Marbury v. Madison to Chief Justice John Marshall. After establishing the precedent of judicial review, Marshall never again ruled a federal law unconstitutional. Instead, most of his decisions overruled state laws, usually to defend businesses and interstate commerce from state interference or strengthened judicial review. These decisions set precedents critical to the development of the new nation's legal and economic systems. Like Hamilton, Marshall interpreted the Constitution broadly to find the implied powers needed for a strong national government. Yes, John Marshall was a person that would agree with Hamilton in that they were both Federalists and they wanted a strong federal central government. A growing nation looks westward. Jefferson insisted that farm ownership, which freed citizens from dependence on a landlord or on an employer, was essential to the freedom of Americans. Yet, without expansion, there would not be enough farms for the rapidly growing population. With the population doubling every 25 years, the nation needed twice as much land every generation to maintain farm ownership. And I will tell you how they got a lot of this land in the next video. Okay, that's going to be it for this one. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. You can send me a message through Schoology. You can send me an email. You can talk to me in person. Any way that you can get a hold of me is fine by me. And I will be happy to help you with any questions you have, whether it's about the content of the class, or an assignment I give out, or school in general, or anything at all. If you've got any questions at all, you all know how to get a hold of me. I hope everybody is having a great day, and I will see you again real soon. Bye.